Good afternoon. I have a visitor here today, so Vino's right behind me. I don't know if you can see him. I have a bar across my phone, so I can't see if you can see him, but he's definitely there, so hopefully he will stay there and mind his P's and Q's. So just want to wait for someone to pop on. Let's see, who is that? Who joined me already? I think my comments are on too, so yay. So whoever jumped on, thank you for joining me. I'll go ahead and get started. That way, if anybody else jumps on, they can go back and watch the replay of anything that they might have missed. So, but thank you for joining me this afternoon. My name is Barbara Ragsdale, and I am a Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator. Michelle Hollings from New York. Well, hi there. I don't think I've had you on before, but hey, Darla. Thank you guys for joining me this afternoon. I was literally just getting started, so, and I don't know if you can tell, but I got a visitor with me here today on my table back behind me. So hopefully he'll be good and won't disturb me. So, but my name is Barbara Ragsdale, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And hi, Cindy. Hi, California. Good, you guys. Thank you for joining me. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And if you're not familiar with Stampin' Up!, we are a paper crafting company, and we cater to all levels of crafters. Whether you don't know what you're doing and you want to learn more, if you're barely beginning, maybe you did it in the past and you want to get back into it, or maybe you're a pretty avid crafter or even a demonstrator. So if you're a demonstrator, thank you for watching me too. I even love when demonstrators watch me. I like watching other ones as well. So, but we are paper crafting, and all of our products are color coordinated, from the paper to the ribbon, to accessories, to designer series paper, the cardstock, and anything else. The inks, we have the markers, stamp pads, blends, watercolors. There's so much you can do with that. But today I wanted to focus on keeping it simple. I wanted to keep it simple. And but before we get started, I do want to remind you that tomorrow is actually the last day for the monthly online ordering special. And yes, we're covered from coast to coast. Yay! Tomorrow is the last day for the monthly online ordering special. And what it is every single month, hi Jessica, I have an online ordering special that if you order $25 or more, you get a free kit in order to make a project. And last month, or this month actually, is the Gather Together stamp set bundle. And these are the 4 cards for August. I tried to dim the lights on the blinds. This one was my favorite. Try to turn it so it doesn't get much of a glare. It was this one, and then this one. And with the monthly online ordering special, I do all the cutting, all the die cutting, all the paper, everything you need to make these 4 cards comes in your kit. But you do need at least the stamp set in order to make the sentiments or greetings, how they're prepared. So if you and when I point the camera down, you'll see the host code. There's a host code that you can use when you're online ordering. And you'll also see my Stampin' Up! Website, and then you'll see my blog as well. But you get a free kit in order to make all 4 cards. And all you need is an order of $25 or more in order to get the free kit. So, hi Sandy, I'm glad you joined me this afternoon, and Stella. And that ends tomorrow, by the way. The special ends tomorrow. And then the cards that we're doing today is actually going to be a premiere of what I'm going to be doing in September for the September online ordering special. So you will get a preview of that. I didn't want to wait till next week, so I went ahead and just did the cards today, and we'll show you today. And like I said, we're going to be focusing on some simple stamping just to show you that really all you need in order to make some really pretty cards is some paper, some inks, and a good versatile stamp set is all you really need. So tomorrow's the deadline. Let me put that away. And then let's do the drawings for last week. If you remember, let me grab them real quick. If you remember, we did those large tags, the tags that were just as large as cards. So we put together the tag kit, and I also made, with one set of the tags, I also went ahead and made 6 cards using the tags as well, just to show you that you didn't have to do just the tags, even though it was a tag kit. So I want to go ahead and do the drawing for that. So that was like a double feature there. I didn't want to just make tags, because with our projects there are things that you can do other than what it's intended for. Just takes a little bit of creativity. Darla got her happy mail. You're welcome, Darla. Darla says we call it happy mail when it's something that brings us joy and happy, and she won one of the prizes that was redrawn from prizes that were unclaimed. So you know how most states have unclaimed property? Well, I have unclaimed prizes. So let's draw for those tags and cards. So who knows, Cindy, you might be a winner. So let's just pull one. By the way, I don't have my little helper from last week, because I think he's mad at me because I wouldn't let him go to the pool today. But at the same time, there's a reason why. And the last time he went to the pool, he ended up rupturing his eardrum, and we had to go to the doctor, and we had medicine to get, and it's all because Mama said, you shouldn't have gone. I told you you shouldn't have gone, and that's what happened. So I think he's mad at me, so I had to draw my own drawing today. But look, I know it's backwards, but Darla, it says me, 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 me. Darla, you won. Yay, congratulations. And I have your address, so I will send those to you. So you have more happy mail coming to you. And so that is how you can win, you guys, just by watching. I like Mikey to pull, he liked me. Oh, because he pulled your number. Yeah, he did. When he drew a prize, he drew Veronica's name. So yeah, he might be lucky in that sense, but sometimes making good decisions, he's not. So Darla, I'm gonna put these away for you and get those to you tomorrow. But you win by watching my videos, liking them, commenting, sharing. If you share, you get a couple of entries into the drawing, and that's just because Facebook doesn't always give me a complete list of who shared. It may give me 1 or 2, but not everybody. So if you type share in the comments, that's where I get that information from. So congratulations, Darla. Let me put that away. And I'm going to go ahead and point the camera down. I'm going to try to keep it, I'm trying to figure out how to make the videos a little shorter and shorter. And I think what I'm going to do is just not do so many announcements, maybe just the introduction and then draw prizes. I want to do something different with the announcements that I have, and I may just give a little blurb at the end, but I want to go ahead and point the camera down to show you. Let me get the cards settled here and get the stamp sets that I'm going to be working with. And the stamp set that I'm going to be using for next month's, Cindy asked, are the tags already cut or are they dies? The tags actually are basically already die cut for you. They're just on a sheet, and all you have to do is just punch them out, and they are so super simple to punch out. So everything is already done. You just gotta punch them out and put a dimensional on them or some snail and assemble them. If you're doing cards, if you're doing tags, it has everything that you need to do it other than the stamp set. Unfortunately, with that tag kit, the stamp set does come separately, so you do have to purchase that. But you could use any, actually, you could use any other Christmas stamp set if you have one. So, but the stamp set I'm going to be using for September, I wanted to think of something that was simple and kind of takes us to this particular season where, you know, we give thanks, you know, we stop and think about all the blessings that we have in our lives, something that is symbolic of life altogether. And when I was looking through the holiday catalog, all I could think of was this one stamp set. And I know it's backwards, but it's Life is Beautiful. Just because it has this gorgeous tree, and I'll show you when I point the camera down. It's got this gorgeous tree in it with just a few sentiments, but it has also some stamps with leaves and another little kind of dotty image. It has a little birdhouse with two little birds. There's a shadow, so if you're doing something with the tree. But what I did is I decided to do 4 different cards, and I'm keeping it simple. So this is one of those hashtag simple stamping videos to show you that all you really do need is some stamps, inks, and paper in order to make beautiful cards, and a little creativity. And this is what we do. We show people how to be creative, even the ones that don't think that they're creative and they've never picked up a stamp before. I want to let you know you can do this. And that's what these videos are for, is to show you how our products are in use and how they all color coordinate and how everything comes together when you're card making. So, but I did want to feature in my last card, you'll see that image isn't from Life is Beautiful. But in the last card, I decided to feature Snowman Season, just because the last card is a winter kind of card. So I wanted to do all 4 seasons, or try to attempt to do all 4 seasons. So, and they're in no particular order, but let me try to put them in an order. There we go. I just switched 2 cards. So let me go ahead and point the camera down and we will get started. All right, so there is, let me straighten that up a little bit. There's my website, there's my blog, and then this is the host code that you'll use. So if you go online and place a $25 more order either today or tomorrow, you'll get the kit to make all 4 of these cards right here, and everything will be punched and die cut for you, and includes all the ribbon and any accessories that you might see. Y'all, I did these cards last month because I was just so ready for fall. I'm over this hot weather. But these are the 2 stamp sets. There's Life is Beautiful, that way you can see. You can actually read. And then I'm featuring Snowman Season in that very last card there. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you guys. And I'll try to look at comments as I'm doing this, but this one reminded me of like a Japanese cherry blossom tree. There's a fall, maybe that should be backwards. There we go. This was like a summer night. I wanted to do something summer nighty. And there's a couple of techniques I'm going to be showing you here. There's a fall one. And then I decided to go ahead and do a Christmas one, just to show you that that tree can also be used in a Christmas card as well, if you're doing an outdoor snowman kind of scene. So let's go ahead and get started. This these are all the papers that we need in order to do this card right here. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a little bit of using the brayer. And I know that I've used the brayer once before, but we're going to go ahead and use it again just to show anyone that has not seen our brayers in use. And these are our brayers. All they are is just this plastic handle and these little foam pieces, and they come out. That way you can wash them. Yes, Darla, I had to get this set after I realized, you know, it's so symbolic of Thanksgiving, and when we stop and think about everything that we have in our lives, and then you stop and think about our family and the tree and the leaves and the branches and kind of what all those represent. So, but this is our base, and basically it's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock that's cut vertically in half. So we have an 11 by 4 1/4 piece, and all we're going to do is fold the base in half, and this is our card base. And I'm going to use our bone folder just to give that edge a crease. And then, because I'm not using any ribbons and I'm not using any embellishments, excuse me, excuse me, woo, like that, I'm going to go ahead and put this piece of Melon Mambo. This is Melon Mambo. And I love the names of our colors. They're fun. They're fun, but they could be a little hard to remember too. So we're going to go ahead and put this base down. And when we put our bases, this first layer down, we always kind of want to make sure we're going to have it centered or as close as possible. You can always get out a ruler if it helps, but you want to see some white all the way around your card. And then the next layer is all this piece of Melon Mambo is 4 by 5 1/4. And then every layer that you put on after that, if you want to see the layer behind it all the way around, is always going to be 1/4 inch less. So this piece of paper is 3 3/4 by 5. And that's the one we're going to be stamping on. And we tell people you want to do your stamping first before you assemble any of your cards, just because if I had put this all together and then I was stamping on the card and I messed up, I'm going to have to find a way to fix it where it's not so noticeable, or you're going to have to start all over. Because once you put adhesive down on our paper and it's stuck to another piece of paper, getting it off without ripping it is almost impossible. And if you do manage to get it off, you're probably going to crease the paper where it was peeling back, and it's still going to be noticeable. But I wanted to put a background on here, and so we're doing laundry too, guys. Well, this is Chris's laundry day. So, but the colors we're going to be using is Balmy Blue, and then for like the bottom part, I'm using Pear Pizzazz. There's Early Espresso for the tree. And then I'm going to be using Melon Mambo for not only the sentiment, but the tree kind of flowers. There's one of the stamps that looks like a flower. And then I want to say I used Sahara Sand for the shadow down at the bottom. But we're going to start with our braying first. So I'm going to open up Balmy Blue. And then all you do is you take your brayer and you just lightly go over it, and go over it a few times. That way it's even. And then you can start off your paper and then just lightly, and as you're rolling, just give it some pressure to where you can start to see the color come in. And then if you need to go over it a little bit more, just get some more ink on it. For some reason, this is coming out not Not blue. Well, let's do this. Because I'll end up having to cut another sheet of... You know what I think I didn't do? I don't think I cleaned that. That's why I had a clean one. There we go. Let's start over here. I'll have to cut another sheet. Well, that's not even Whisper White. All right, guys. I'm going to flip this piece over, and I will make this be my sample, and then I'll end up giving away that one, the one that I made. There we go. There we go. That's more blue. And you can do it as dark as you want or as light as you want. And that's just to kind of represent the blue sky back behind. There we go. And then I'm actually done with Balmy Blue. So let's close that up. Our pads open like compacts. In fact, I know that's exactly what happened because I used the same sponge yesterday. And because I'm doing it light, that's the only reason I did it. So I started with the lighter colors and then added in darker colors. And there you start to see some color pop up on that. And then where the two colors meet, just keep blending it till you have a nice kind of green background there. And then I'm done with that. And then I want to stamp our tree. And we're going to stamp our tree in Early Espresso. And I had to mount the tree on the huge block because none of the other blocks fit. And before I do that, though, let me grab, got it right here, our pad here, our little foam pad. Because when you're stamping with photopolymer, unless you have like a really hard surface, you want to put a pad, one of the foam pads underneath. But bear with me while I do this. This is kind of tricky, especially if your hands are not big, and I do not have big hands. But it's hard to grab on a block. And then what we want to do is just lay it down and give it a little pressure, and then pick it back up, but you might have to do that number. There we go. And I'm done with Early Espresso, so let me put that away for now. And then we'll break out Sahara Sand to do the little shadow. So let me get that. And just go right underneath the tree. And then to get the other side, all I did was I flipped the stamp around and kind of overlapped it a little bit so that the whole shadow looks like one shadow under the tree. Let me fill that back in there. There we go. And I'll be using that again, but not right now. So we're done with Sahara Sand. You're right, Darla, we truly are blessed. And then I'm going to break out Melon Mambo to do the tree part. And I actually used these little dots, and then I also used, where'd it go? There's another one here, hold on. I got all my little stamp sets here. There, and I used this one that looks like little flowers. So I'm going to start with the little dots. I think you're saying Melon Mambo. It's Mambo, but it's with an A. Melon Mambo, M-A-M-B-O. And then just go over your tree branches. Press down. And then do the other side. Probably a little higher than what I wanted, but that's okay. And then ink the little flowers up. and just kind of go over. I think on my sample, I stamped off. That's why the colors look lighter. But you could do it either or. That's just a really bright cherry blossom tree. And then hello. Just ink that up. Make sure your ink is really, that you can see you have plenty of ink on there. When you stamp, all you have to do is tap. You don't want to press it down in there because you could transfer ink that gets on your block to your paper if you do it too hard. And then just do hello. And that is the card. And now all we have to do now is put this on our base that we put over here. And I will keep this as my sample since I boo-booed and we've had to turn it around. But that's the joy too. So if you mess up on one side, you can always flip it around and do the other side and save paper. Get that on there. There we go. And that's the first card. Like I said, I'll give away my sample. But no two cards are going to be the same, clearly. But the reason why those dots are lighter is because I did the stamp off technique. And I didn't stamp off on the little flowers. So you can see what it looks like if you stamped off. And if you didn't, if you used the full strength, it's just brighter. It's much brighter. But there's card number 1. Super simple. We put that aside. And then bring you this one, which is this one right here. There we go. And there's a couple of techniques with this one. And when I was thinking about the night, I kept thinking, you know what, we have 2 colors that would just go perfect with it. And this lighter blue for the base, let me go ahead and fold that, is called Misty Moonlight. And it's one of our in colors, our new in colors in our color spectrum, because we have 50 ink colors. But this is Misty Moonlight. This is, the darker one is Night of Navy. Jessica, I have some confidence I can do that. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can. This one's Night of Navy. And then this is just Whisper White. And that's what we're going to be stamping on. And then I also have, on the inside, I need to cut an extra white piece to go on the inside, so that if you are writing something, you will be able to see it. But on this one, I wanted to do just a little step up. I didn't do it on the other cards just because I wanted to show you. But we have a stitched rectangular die set. And for these, let's see if you can see it, I used them on the dies. So on the edge, you can see that stitching going all the way around. There's a whole set of dies for that. And I just wanted to show you that even with simple stamping and maybe a die to help kind of refine your edges, that you could have a card that has a little bit of detail to it. Not much, but it's not just flat around the edges. And it looks a little smaller than the other card because I did cut the regular sheet of paper, and originally this was a 4 by 5 1/4 sheet, but after I used the large die, it took it down another notch. And the same thing with this sheet. It took it down a notch, which was okay. It was okay with me. So let's put this Night of Navy piece down before I lose it, or because y'all know me, I lose things right here on my desk. And let's get that down and get that centered, and that way we can get started on the braying for this card. And there's a couple of things that I'm doing. I already have the circle that I punched out to cover the paper. So let's do that. I'm gonna put my little moon there. And then I used Misty Moonlight for the braying at the top. And then I used Mossy Meadow for the green on the bottom. But what I did was I wanted to do a moon, and you're going to see the moon twice. That way, if you're making this card, you can decide if you want to color your moon or if you want to leave it white. It looked gorgeous white, but let me just show you. So this is the piece that I used last night, and I'm going to use it again. And I'm just going to hold it down. And I'm going to use the darker one that I had a while ago because this is a darker ink. But I'm going to ink up my brayer. I'm going to get it kind of dark. I didn't want to use Misty Moonlight because I didn't want it to be so dark, but I wanted it to still have. And what I'm doing is, as I'm braying over this, it's not coloring what's underneath the circle, obviously, because I have that covered up. So let me ink that up some more. And I'm having just to move my hand. But I want to start getting it darker. Just so you could see it's a dark night, but not completely like totally dark. Because the moon is illuminating, and I am giving it a little bit of pressure, but you don't want to give it so much pressure that you're creating lines, because that's real easy to do. I think that's good enough. Make it a little darker. Like I said, if you used Night of Navy, it would definitely be dark, and you would have to control this a little more. Let me put that aside and open up Mossy Meadow for the bottom. Move that. Just get that going there. I'm not watching comments, so if you're watching me, thank you for joining me this Sunday afternoon, wherever you are. I'm glad to see all over the United States seems to be recognized here, so that's great. And I am not done with Mossy Meadow, and I'm not done with, yes I am. Let me close this Misty Moonlight. So watch what happens when I take this little thing away. I've got this bright white moon. And so now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and grab my early espresso back. I'm going to stamp up my tree again. And I'm going to stamp the tree. Make sure I get that even. Let me do this. Hold on. I got to put my padding underneath because I know that it's going to stamp off. So let's do this again. Just re-ink that up. And I don't want the whole tree to be in. I want it to be kind of like that. Give it a little pressure. And lift it up. And we have this spooky looking feeling. Let me close up early espresso. I'm done with that. And then since I have Mossy Meadow still open, let me get these leaves. Oops, got something on there. These are actually leaves. And because it's summer, I know leaves are still on the tree, but you could easily leave this card with that spooky looking, that look, like a Halloween card. So let's get some leaves on here. Here we go. Turn it the right way. Just gonna stamp some leaves over that. Same thing over here. They're stamping off. And then the sentiment, excuse me, you guys, let me take a drink of water. The sentiment I actually stamped in Night and Navy. And I stamped Thinking of You. So you got that sentiment there. Because I wanted it to be dark enough to show through these layers here. And then you actually could leave, the card like that, but I wanted a big bright yellow moon. So what I did is that same piece of scrap that I had cut this circle out of, I used the negative of that in order to cover everything else around. And then I used crushed curry for the moon color. So let me grab the lighter one here and ink that up and make sure that everything is covered around it, and then you can just bray over it however dark you want it to be, and I think that's dark enough. And then when you take this piece off, then you have a perfectly colored bright moon lighting up the night. Right? So you can leave it white, or you could color it in and just make it pop. And that actually would be a really cool Halloween card without the leaves, and maybe a bat or something flying in the sky, and then a Halloween message. You could just mix it up with whatever Halloween stamp sets you might have. And then just add some adhesive to the back. And then add it to the front of your card, centering it over this Night and Navy mat. There we go. And it's a super easy technique too. So yeah, that's card number 2. And then what I'll do is I'll cut another white piece to go on the inside. But that is card number 2 with the brain technique, and then just kind of masking around so that you can color just that, the moon. Now, if you really wanted to, we have blends, and we also have watercolors as well, pencils that you can do that. So if you like to manually paintbrush or do watercoloring, you could do that way as well. This was just faster for me, is to use and show the brayers. I want to say it's $8 for a pack of 2 or 4. I can't remember how many sponges are in the package. I think there's 4, but anyway, there's card number 2. And then card number 3, as we jump into our fall season, we're going to be using Very Vanilla. This is Cajun Craze, and then another piece of Very Vanilla. And I want to make sure that I don't get any ink, so I'm going to put this piece over that right there, just to make sure I don't get any ink from what I just did behind on there on that card. So I'm going to fold our base. Here's our bone folder. Let's go ahead and get our piece of Cajun Craze on. Now when you cut a piece of paper, there's also, it leaves a certain mark on your paper. And you can always tell which is the smooth side and which is the side that has been cut, because it's more raised around the edge. So whenever you cut paper and you go to put adhesive on one side and you're going to put it down, just pay attention to what side you're using. And you might not be able to see it in this video, but I can see it, and most people that have been doing this a while know exactly what I'm talking about, because it can be so put together and they're like, oh my gosh, I put the adhesive on the wrong side, which is okay. I mean, it's a handmade card. but we're just perfectionists. We're perfectionists like that. So make sure I'm stamping on the thing itself. So then now I've also got the same tree that I'm going to ink up with Early Espresso, but hold on. I just noticed something on my tree that I need to fix right now, and that is some ink. That's why we keep baby wipes around, for stuff like that. And I'll make sure I don't have any ink on my fingers. So we're going to get Early Espresso back out, and you'll notice that tree is not as dark as the other trees that I stamped. And that's because I did the stamp off technique. So what I'm doing is I'm still inking up the tree as I did on the first two cards, but, and let me do it on this piece below. I'm stamping off. I'm going to stamp on a scratch piece of paper. And then let me put that back down. Bring the card back. And then I'm going to stamp back down on the card. So there was still ink that was on my stamp. And all I'm doing is transferring the rest of that ink back to my paper. And I have a duplicate image. Just one's darker than the other. So depending on what kind of a tree you want, as far as the darkness, you can use full strength or you can use the stamp off technique part of that. And I'm actually done with Early Espresso for there. But I do need to clean my stamps. So I'm bringing my chamois out. And I'm going to clean my stamp. And this is just a chamois that we wet it and you wring it out, and you're able to, it's a portable option to cleaning your stamp. So if if you're stamping away from home and you need something portable to clean your stamps on, that's what our chamois is for. So for all three of these colors, there's actually 2 colors on there. I am using Cajun Craze, but I'm stamping off because I don't want the full strength of Cajun Craze on these. So just stamp there. You could use the full strength if you wanted. I know that in the fall, leaves are super bright. Why not? There we go. And I'm going to leave Cajun Craze open because I want to do my sentiment. And actually, let's go ahead and do the sentiment. If I can find it. Oh no, we're going to wait and do the sentiment because that's something different. Sorry. And then I got crumb cake for the other part of the leaves, but I need to clean my stamp off. I like crumb cake. It's just that perfect shade of brown. And then I'll do one with full strength, kind of in the middle. We have a bright tree there. And then I did the same thing on the bottom just to show some leaves on the ground with all of the colors. So let me close that one up and clean my stamp and do Cajun Craze. The other side here. They don't have to be perfectly lined up, although it looks like I tried on that one, but I really didn't. Just trying to get them that way. Let's clean that off. Okay, now this is kind of tricky because for some reason I couldn't find my Cajun Craze marker but I wanted, the Life is Beautiful stamp set is long, and I didn't want to just stamp it right in the middle. I wanted to stamp it right here in this open spot, but I was like, okay, you would wonder, how do you do that? And normally when we have the markers, you can just color it and blow on it, give it a little hot breath, and then stamp it down. Well, on this one, I had to get creative since I can't find my marker, and we're gonna do it this way. So what I did was I only inked up, and I'm trying to look at just the ink pad when I do this. I only inked up the word life, and fortunately there's a space between where that E ends and that I starts. So I slowly and carefully inked it up and then pressed down on it. Now you want to make sure that your stamp is clean. The other part is clean, because if it's not clean, you'll start to see some ink off to the side. So mine was clean, so I'm going to clean it again really good. And if you're not sure if all the ink's off, then just stamp it on your paper and you don't see any ink, so you know that it's off. And then I did the same thing with the other side. So let me get a good grip on this. And I'm just inking up the is beautiful part. Nobody breathe, nobody move, so that it doesn't ink up the E in life. And then because it's photopolymer, I can see exactly where I'm going to be stamping right beneath. And then all you do is give it a little pressure and then pull it up, and then now you have one part of the sentiment on top of the other. Whew, okay, we can breathe now. I did it. Thank you, Sherry. So now you can see I have this little, where'd it go over here? The little birdhouse. And the little birdhouse has two little birdies off to the side. And I didn't want to just color the whole thing with the early espresso marker. So I made the two little birdies mint macaron color, just because that color goes really well with the other colors. And I know I've done this before, but when you wanna take a stamp and just color parts of it, you take the paintbrush side and color it, and just make sure you get to the edge. We don't get the birdies, but you want to make sure you've colored the whole little birdhouse. And then take the paintbrush side of mint macaron and then just carefully color the birdies. Mint macaron is a really light color, so it is putting some ink on there. Just coloring the birdies. And in order to keep this ink from drying, because it does dry pretty quickly, you're not going to see this part off camera, but if you heard me give a little huff of breath, the little warm breath re-inked the ink that was on there, and it made it wet again so that I could stamp it. Because sometimes it does take a moment, and before you get to the other side, things have already dried. But so now you have a birdhouse with two little birdies off to the side. And then let's get some snail on the back, and then add it to our base already put together. And there you have it. There's card number 3. Hashtag simple stamping. This one's lighter because I did the stamp off technique, and this one is darker just because I did both, just to show you, you know, the colors can be more vibrant if you wanted them to be with the fall kind of color card. So there you go, card number 3. And then card number 4, let me flip that over so I can work with this other side. is a Christmas one. Winter. Love it. And you'll notice the tree is lighter, and I want to say on that one I did use crumb cake instead of early espresso. So let me get some of this ink off of this large tree so that it gets just the crumb cake color. Clean that. And this color that I'm using for this wintry card is just Seaside spray. It's two pieces of Seaside spray, our base and then the matte. So you only really need just a little bit of paper, and then this is going to go on the outside. So we're going to stamp on this. So let's go ahead and get our tree down. With crumb cake. Ink that up. Get that going over here. Let me make sure of something. I want to say I stamped off, but I could be wrong. But let's just go ahead and stamp it. And I don't want the whole tree on there, but I do want most of it. Just give it a little pressure. Okay, no, I didn't. Sometimes it's hard to remember if I stamped on because these stamp off colors are similar to actual colors that we have in our product line. And then since I have this out, let's go ahead and do Let It Snow, because in the Snowman season stamp set, there is a coordinating punch that punches out the snowmen, these two snowmen, or at least this one when you put your snowman together. But I'm using that sentiment, Let It Snow. And I'm going to do it in crumb cake right up here. And that is all I need for that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the birdhouse again. But because it's winter, there's no birds around. So I just clean that off. And then I'm going to ink up just the birdhouse on here. So let me make sure there's no ink left on that. So same thing, just color the birdhouse. Make sure you don't get the birdies. And so let's hold our breaths again. Hold our breaths, hold our fingers. I think I got the whole thing. Give it a little breath to reactivate that ink, and then stamp the birdhouse. And I'm going to leave this right by because I'm going to need that for a little bit. The other part that we're using to this is, we do have, this is the older one, is a white craft ink. And that's what's going to represent some snow. And when I open this, I'm going to re-ink the side right here because I used some last night. I had to start using the corner because I don't know if you can see that, but there's a little pink tint to that. And I'm like, okay, clearly, I'm not going to name any names because it was probably me. Didn't clean my ink before I started using this on one of my stamps. So it is... It had a little pink tint in my card, and I was like, oh no, we're gonna have to fix that. So let me clean off this little stamp set that had the little flowers on it that I used in the very first, and clean that real good. And then with the craft ink, it's thicker than our regular ink, and it does take some time for it to dry. A little bit of time, not much, but you can see how it's inked up white, and then all you're doing is, this is representing the snowflakes that are on the tree. And just ink it up. Let's get another one up there. I think that's good. And then we have our snowman, which this is the snowman. I kind of left him I did it in black the first time, in the Memento black, and then I didn't like it. So I thought, well, the snowman is supposed to be white. So I just decided to do him all in this craft ink instead. And I'm just making sure I've got good coverage on him. And then let's do him right here. Give it a little pressure. Lift it straight up, and now we have our snowman with a little tree next to him. And then the same tree shadow that I did in the earlier card. Let me clean that off. I used it to represent snow on the ground. I didn't want to use the snowflakes, but I wanted it to look like there was snow on the ground. So just keep inking it up and then go all the way across. You can flip it around if you want to flip it around. And then any little areas that might need some snow, you can go back and kind of fill those in. Oops. I think that's good. And I don't know if you can see that from there, but it is got some shine to it because it is wet right now. And then I'm not done with the snow. Let me go ahead and do the snow on top of the little birdhouse. And how I did that, let me grab my scraps. I actually did that in 2 phases. So I covered the birdhouse, and then I put another scrap piece right where the birdhouse would end. Let me get that back up there. Trying to move it without, there we go. And that same little piece that I had for the ground, I'm going to use that to put snow on top of the birdhouse to make it look like there's snow. And then same thing over here. I'm going to move it to the other side and ink it up and just get some snow on that side of the birdhouse. That one's kind of hard to see. Oops, I think I got some. Okay, I'm gonna have to use this one as my sample, but y'all get the gist of what I was trying to do there. Just to show some, yeah, that looks bad. Try to get some more at the bottom of that. Just so that it looks like there's some little snow caps on top of the the bird tree, birdhouse. There you go. You can get it right here. Now let's put a little bit of color to it while that's drying. For his little hat there and scarf, I took mint macaron and the brush tip, and I'm just going to color the inside of his scarf every other, there we go. Give him some color there. And then I took the early espresso paintbrush tip and kind of filled in his eyes and went over the little dots for his mouth. I'm barely doing it, that way it doesn't mix with the white that's drying. And then filled in the white there. And then traced out his stick hands. And then what else? I think I did the tree branches down here with the little tree. I also put the bird, one of the birds on the little tree. Although he kind of looks odd after I did that. Okay, got that. And then with pumpkin pie, the brush tip, well, you could do the marker tip too, but I think I did the brush tip. just fill in for the nose, his carrot nose. And then let's see. To clean off that little stamp. I did the little birdie in early espresso, but you have to pay attention to what little birdie you're using, which is that one, when you color it, because I wanted the little birdie to be just a little side birdie sitting on a little tree with the snowman. Give it a little breath, and then make it look like he's sitting on top of this little bitty tree down here next to the snowman. Now, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and put, to get it dry, to dry it quicker, just break out our heat tool, and that'll help it dry a lot quicker. And then put him on our base. And then now you have a wintry card to kind of help represent, you know, winter, Christmas, snowman season. Oops. So let me bring the cards back. That was the winter one we just did. There's the fall. There's our summer night. And then there is our, move these over more, a little bit more. Our spring with all the flowers blooming. And let me show you too. On page 51 of the catalog is where the stamp set is. And it's only $17. And it has all of those stamps and those 3 sentiments. But you can see other cards that you could make with these as well. I just kept it simple with inks, paper, and stamp sets. But you can see how if you did if you had more layers, or you did some embossing to it, or your sentiments were raised up and added with some dimensionals. There's ribbon, there's sequins, pearls, whatever you want to use for the cards, you have that option as well. So how do you guys like those? With the brayer, using some brayers and some ink. Cute. But it's one stamp set that can represent an entire year depending on what season you're in. So if you want to do simple hello cards for the spring or summer, you want to let people know you're thinking about them, or the fall when you're reflecting on all your blessings and how life is beautiful. You stop and really think about life. And then a fun one for Christmas, just featuring another stamp set. Just because the Life is Beautiful didn't have one, but you could easily just make it a snowy scene with Life is Beautiful as well. So let me get this camera pointed down. There we go. Ooh. So good. I'm glad you guys joined it. Marianne. Yeah, no, it's 3. I try to get a good time in the middle of the afternoon on a Sunday. So hopefully people are winding down and getting ready to go back to work either Monday, or just settling in and try to get people before dinner time starts. So but I do thank you guys all. I'll go back and watch, look at the comments to see if I missed any comments, but I do thank you guys for joining. That's the preview for the stamp set that's going to be next month's online special. So, and then a couple of you gave me some really great ideas of things that you want to see. So I had asked a question the other day just saying, hey, I know I normally show you cards and maybe a project, but I want to make sure that I'm able to show you things that you want to see done with the product. So if you're watching this video or watching the replay and you want to see more projects or more specific projects like samplers or some smaller home decor items, or even if you still want to see kids cards, masculine cards, whatever you want to see, just write in the comments. I would love to hear your feedback and be able to show you things that you're more interested in. But I also want to make sure that I cater to all of our beginners that are watching as well, because it can be a little overwhelming when you get started with stamping, and especially when you open up one of our catalogs, because we have so many products that cater to all different levels. And that's what us demonstrators are there for. We're there to teach you how to use the products and show them in use, as well as to answer any questions you might have, because there's nothing more frustrating than buying something that you saw that was just so cute and you had to have it, and then you get it and you're like, what do I do with it now? And I want to be able to show you how to use your products so that you that you can be creative, and show you that you can be creative. I've even made things that were straight from the catalog, just to show you that you can make things straight out of the catalog with our products. So those are real people doing those samples too, and we create and we share. We call it Case, where you create and share everything, and we get a lot of our inspiration from other demonstrators. And you can also go to Pinterest and see a lot of ideas there. I do have a Pinterest page as well, but if you visit my blog, you will see there's a lot that we have to offer, and a lot that I offer as well. So if you're interested in any of the events that I have coming up, which I do have a one-day holiday retreat next month in New Braunfels, I think there's maybe 3 spots left for the live version, and then I have a weekend retreat in October at a retreat center, the Mountain Laurel Retreat Center. There's other projects as well that are going on, so just go visit my events page, and if you see anything that you would like to participate in, just register there. I'd love to have you, and I'm here every Sunday at 3 p.m. and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. So you have a fabulous rest of your Sunday afternoon. Stay hydrated, practice safe social distancing, and I will see you guys next week at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, bye-bye, guys.